Welcome to our training on Modbus Data Concentrators. I'm Maria Limoni, Sales Manager here at ICP-DAS USA. First, we'll introduce Modbus Data Concentrators that improve Modbus communication processes between masters and slaves. We'll discuss shared Modbus memory, reading and writing to Modbus slaves, configuration, and application. Robert Morale and my technical support department will go over using Modbus Data Concentrators with SCADA software and will help answer questions. If you have any questions at any time, please enter them into the chat box and we'll answer them at the end of the training. ICP-DAS was established in 1993. ICP-DAS USA was launched in 2001. We have our ISO 9001 certification, which ensures we meet product statutory and regulatory requirements. We provide sales and free technical support out of our office here in Southern California. We provide training classes, programming, and integration services. Modbus Data Concentrators allow up to 8 Modbus masters to read and write up to 200 commands to Modbus slave devices via RS-232 and RS-485 instead of having to pull each slave device one by one. Their shared memory is used to store data from slave devices. Modbus Data Concentrators reduce the time it takes to read and write to and from multiple Modbus RTU slave devices. The Modbus master can use one Modbus command to get all data from the MDC 700 Modbus Data Concentrators, so the Modbus master can get the Modbus RTU data quickly. The Modbus address for the MDC 700 modules is allocated automatically. After the MDC 700 concentrates data from different blocks of non-contiguous registers on slave devices, the data will be put into a block of contiguous Modbus registers on the MDC 700. Editing and checking polling definitions can be tedious and time-consuming, but with Modbus Data Concentrators, you can use a CSV, separated value file for editing definitions. The MDC 711 has Ethernet, RS-485, and RS-232 ports. It communicates over Modbus TCP and Modbus RTU protocols. It supports up to 32 nodes on the RS-485 bus and supports operating temperatures from -13 to 167 degrees Fahrenheit. MDC 714 is similar and has 4 RS-485 ports, so it can support more Modbus RTU devices via RS-485. Modbus Data Concentrators mirror the data of slave devices to their own shared memory. The internal shared memory has 4 tables to store up to 4,000 analog input, analog output, digital input, and digital output information. When Modbus TCP masters, like SCADA software and HMI programs, communicate with multiple Modbus RTU devices, which present data on different blocks of non-contiguous Modbus registers, Modbus masters need to send several Modbus commands to concentrate data from different blocks of non-contiguous registers on one device. The Modbus master requires more resources for data collection and management. To use Modbus Data Concentrators, you use their web interface to give them an IP address, subnet mask, and gateway for use with your network. You edit and upload the config.csv file. Then you use a web browser to use the web HMI interface, and you set up your Modbus TCP masters to get data from the Modbus Data Concentrator. You can easily reset the MDC 711 and MDC 714 to factory settings by connecting the reset pin on the terminal block to ground for 3 seconds. Modbus polling definitions are defined in a config.csv file like the one shown here. There are fields for the Modbus TCP port number and the Modbus ID information. You can add module information and a description. You can specify the baud rate, data bit, parity, stop bit, timeout, and poll delay information for each COM port in the spreadsheet. Importing the CSV polling definitions, editing the polling definitions, Ethernet configuration, and turning I/O on and off can all be done through a web browser. You can see the information that was entered in the CSV spreadsheet here. Up to 8 Modbus TCP masters can remotely access up to 220 Modbus RTU slaves via Ethernet. Modbus data concentrators are being used in applications requiring communication among multiple Modbus masters and slave devices. They're being used in energy management systems with smart power meter Modbus slaves and PLC and SCADA masters for monitoring and control. Our PM3133 power meters communicate over Modbus RTU, and Modbus data concentrators pull data from the power meters, allowing you to view real-time power information over SCADA software on PCs. Very similarly, Modbus data concentrators are being used in factory automation applications to allow faster data transmission among Modbus master and slave devices. Modbus data concentrators can be easily integrated with existing Modbus networks and SCADA software. SCADA supervisory control and data acquisition software allows you to create a graphical user interface for displaying and controlling system status. You can use InduSoft to log data, create customized reports, show graphs of data over time, and to display information. You can create multiple users and give them different permission levels, where an administrator user can turn equipment on and off and see the system. Operators can be configured so they can just see the status and not have access to all the pages in the system. InduSoft supports web publishing, so you can access the system from a remote computer through a web browser, and you can interact with the system just as if you were at the server machine. Now I'll pass the presentation over to Robert in our technical support department. He's going to be showing you how to use Modbus data concentrators with SCADA software.
Okay, hello Maria. Let's see. Okay, let's see. So like Maria said, with our Modbus data concentrators, you can combine multiple Modbus RTU slave and Modbus TCP slave devices into one Modbus concentrator. For Modbus RTU specifically, you can have different baud rates for different COM ports. We have ones with different combinations of RS-232 and RS-45 ports. Of course, you only need one for RS-45. Then you just have one baud rate for all devices. But if you have a requirement for multiple baud rates or parity settings or pull times for different slave devices or on different COM ports, you can connect them to different COM ports and set individual baud rate settings and pull the same Modbus concentrator for the data. So the Modbus concentrator will continuously pull the slaves, filling its internal memory, and put it in sequential registers. From there, you can achieve polling of the Modbus TCP concentrator using your SCADA software. Today, I'll show you just simply how to configure the Modbus concentrator and then how to connect it to SCADA. So I have on my screen a simple, this is our quick start guide. It gives you a sort of an overview of what you need to set. So for instance, this one has up to 5 different COM port numbers. Let's use different same baud rate for every device, same parity, same stop bits, and same pull delay and timeout. With each different COM port, you can have different settings. That's one of the benefits of the Modbus concentrator if you have different devices with different COM port settings. In the next tab, let's see, the polling definition. With the polling definition, you specify which ID, which function code, and which start register. You can have multiple function codes, multiple reads for the same device, as shown here on lines 1 and 2, where both are talking to slave ID 1, but different function codes and different register counts and start addresses. So for instance, if you have non-sequential data from one device, our power meter specifically has many different register blocks. So the Modbus concentrator is a great tool to use for use with our power meters. And you can pull it within a single pull. So for instance, you can get voltage, current, power from various channels and combine them into a set of sequential registers to easily incorporate into your SCADA project. once you've set up your polling definitions, then you can configure your I/O channels and use the web interface to configure and test. Notice over here on the right side for communication it shows good for status. It would show bad if it did not have communication. Then you can test your RS-45 configuration and verify that you have the right addresses and so on and so forth. So from here it's just a matter of simply going to your SCADA software. This is InduSoft right now. InduSoft Web Studio 7.1 is used for creating Modbus TCP connections or many other protocols. You can create a project and visually see the status of the different registers and do data logging and trending and various other features. So you simply go to the COM port setting, you click on driver, and then you create a Modbus TCP connection, which would create a main driver sheet. Within the main driver sheet, you go to the station specifically, and you type your IP address, your port number, and your Modbus ID. For this, for use with the Modbus Concentrator, you just need one address or one station for all your devices, because the Concentrator again is incorporating multiple devices worth of data into one connection. So you just have one Modbus TCP Concentrator, and that will lighten the burden of the processor usage for the Modbus polling, so that you can achieve faster polling and achieve more devices quickly. So you just have multiple channels for your different I/O tags, and then with your different I/O tags, you can create the connection and I/O address. Then the next step would be go to graphics page, create a screen. For this one, we already have one created. I just have different circles representing each different digital output in this case, but you can certainly visually show, let's see, other text boxes, label widgets if you have analog inputs. You can graphically show using a trend curve, and you can do data logging as well with InduSoft by simply editing the tag properties. Let's see, for this one, let me just click on run. We don't have a connection right now, but you would see that the data from the Modbus Concentrator would show the various IOs, or digital outputs in this case, statuses on the screen if we had a connection right now. Let's see, simply click on exit to exit the project. And let's see, if you wanted to do data logging, you simply need to configure each individual tag. For data logging, system tags, tag list, and you just simply select the properties, and then you can achieve data logging.
If you have any questions, please enter them into the chat box. And if you don't have any questions now and you think of some later, please feel free to contact us anytime by email, phone.
Okay, and we did have a recent call for tech support in which a customer just had one device, but it was communicating with a different baud rate than what their other devices required. So he was able to use the Modbus Concentrator to simply talk to two devices and combine them into one Modbus TCP connection to solve his applications. So this is great for specifically devices where you have two COM ports and you have different baud rates or different parity settings on those different devices. You combine them into one device and one protocol, and therefore you can save money and time.
And we do provide free tech support, so if you have Modbus TCP masters already, we could help you with configuring the Modbus data concentrator to work with your Modbus TCP equipment or Modbus RTU equipment. I have a question. Is a Modbus data concentrator, is it like a hub?
A hub.
A hub more so repeats the data. It doesn't really have like a memory map inside of it. This is more like a device that has a memory map inside, shared memory. So
Yeah,
it's pulling information into it. It's not necessarily logging the information, but it's like a data logger, but it has one instance of the real-time data inside. Go ahead, Robert.
oh no, I was going to pretty much echo what you said, where a hub just simply transmits the data to each device on each COM port at the same time. What this one does, you're polling the Modbus concentrator, and the Modbus concentrator is constantly polling the individual devices. So realistically, it's polling the devices faster than you're polling it with the Modbus TCP, but you're saving the processor speed of your computer and resources because you're simply sending one Modbus command to the Modbus concentrator, where the Modbus concentrator is using its processor and resources to pull the individual slave devices connected to it.
But in a sense, yes, it is kind of like a hub. So it's repeating out the data. And then Stefan is asking, do you have a Skype account to contact you or your team? Yes, we have a Skype account, ICP DAS USA. That's one account that we have. Also, I have a Skype account. It is Lemone Maria, Lemone Maria. And Robert, do you have a Skype account?
I just use the standard one for the most part, but I don't log in constantly. So if you want to do a conference call or something, we can, coordinate that by email, and then we can be sure to log in at the coordinated time.
Okay, well, we do use GoToMeeting and TeamViewer type of software where you can see our screen or we can see yours. Um, if you want to communicate with us over a web meeting, or you can feel free to contact us on Skype anytime or on email. We also have a web chat through our website. So if you go to our website, icpdas-usa.com, on the right-hand side of the website, there's a little blue box that says chat with us. We are online. If you click that and then you type in your name and information, then you click start chat and you can chat with us right away through the website. There's no more questions here, so I guess thanks for coming to our webinar, and hope to see you again, and hope we can help you with projects. And if you have any questions or we can help you with anything, please feel free to contact us anytime. Have a great
Okay.
day. Oh, go ahead,
Well,
Robert.
oh no, I was just saying thank you for attending. See you all next month.
Thank you. Bye-bye.